My guest today needs no introduction, but let's see what he brings.
You're going to give me an introduction.
Wait,
don't give me an introduction.
off.
Don't give me an introduction. I need no introduction. I've got a guest today. That's what we have to say.
My guest today needs no introduction beyond the one he just gave himself. But let's see what he brings to the plate. Matt Preston, welcome to the Halliday Wine Companion Podcast.
Oh, hello, Anna. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm very excited to be here. You couldn't have picked a better time. I've had a fantastic. I've had a few exciting experiences. I'm funny about wine. I'm funny about wine. You know my views on wine they're not necessarily the perhaps as predictable as some people might think. But we're discussing this the other day. What life is about for me when it comes to wine is finding most wines you're talking and you're drinking, it's delicious, it's great. We're talking about there's a moment when you have a wine, and these are the wines that I think we all spend our life searching for, where you have a sip and you go, oh, and you do the lean back, the involuntary lean back, and you go, oh, what's that? And it comes as a surprise. Yeah. And it's often in a lineup of wines where they're all delicious, and then one just goes, and it may be the one that looks a little bit cloudy. Yeah, and you just go, oh, hello, and that's whether it's a master or unmasked lineup. I think that's the exciting thing. It's that hello moment. It's those moments. Most wine made in Australia is beverage, like Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola. It's industrial product, and then there's art. And I think what you and I search and chase is those pieces of art. Yes. Those moments when you try something and it's more than just fermented grape juice. There's other stuff going on in the glass that defies understanding. Absolutely. Well, you're jumping ahead a bit, but you and I met. I'm trying to make it short.
You and I met 10 years ago on MasterChef.
Yep.
And since then, you've been not only a mentor to me, but a good friend and dining buddy. A little shout out to Road Trip Club here.
Very nice. You get to pick the wines. I like that too.
Yes, I do pick all the wines at our restaurant dinners. It's not a surprise to anyone to hear that you love wine, but I think the depth of your knowledge might come as a bit of a surprise to people. You're definitely very well known in the food space, but maybe less so in the wine space. So today I really want to out you there. I really want to share that love and that knowledge with.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm an expert. I mean, I'm that terrible. I'm that terrible. I know what I like. I'm more that kind of in that territory. I mean, lucky, obviously, before MasterChef, writing for Delicious and Vogue Entertaining. I travelled a lot around Australia, did a lot of stories in different regions. Invariably, those food regions have wineries. So I've met a lot of winemakers. I've drunk a lot of wine. I've tried a lot of stuff. But I think for me, I started writing about drinks. I started as a spirits writer. So that's really where I've spent. And then because Stuart Gregor was also writing on that same magazine, on that he dragged me into that wine tasting space, and that's a totally different world. Yeah, that thing of wine at home, wine in a restaurant, and then wine in a tasting room. They're three. The thing is very different. What it does do when you've got a big lineup of wines, mass wines, it teaches you that there's no point trying to second guess which is the cool wine. You just write down the numbers of the ones you like.
So how long did you taste for Stuart Gregor's annual wine guide?
I did 3 years, three editions of it. Yeah. But enough to know in year 2 that actually, two things you learn. One is great wines, because when you unmask everything, you go, wow, that's a great wine, and it just kind of gets lost between the cacophony. If you're dealing with if you're a big Barossa red, and there's lots in that tasting, you're going to get lost if you're something a bit more cool climate. Yeah. That's number one. But the other thing is you pull open and you go, I really like that wine. That was delicious. And then you'd have that wonderful moment when it's a Sacred He'd Kill Cab Merlot for $3.29.
Yeah, the Jacobs Creek. You told me this story.
That's right. But this is the boldly, and it wasn't just me. It was the serious, intelligent winemakers. But you just go, I think that's delicious, and you go, but I could never put it on the table because I'm embarrassed to be putting up a wine that's that
just
cheap.
Decant it. No.
And that's the thing. That's one of my favourite advices. Go to the op shop, find a $2 decanter, decant it, and then leave an expensive Cab Merlot empty bottle on the kitchen desk, and no one will know. because and that's, I think, one of the challenges when people talk about wine. They read reviews and they do that rather than doing that sensible thing of lining up 6 bottles, wrapping them in silver foil, mixing them up, tasting them, and then just buy a case, the one you like. Yeah, it's very simple. It's not rocket science. Just pick the one you like, isn't it?
Yeah, but people don't feel confident to talk about wine.
But I think that's the thing. But you know what you like. I mean, it's that,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
old base level, you know what you like. But unless you put them side by side, most of the time we taste wine, most people taste wine, they have a wine, and they'll move on to the other. Very seldom, maybe in a lineup with paired wines, they'll get to taste 2 or 3 wines against each other with a dish or whatever. But most of it's individual. It's very hard. Our senses are not that, our sense memory is not that strong to be able to. Same that I read about audio equipment for a long period of time. You need to be able to switch between 2 things to see the difference.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning. Your mum was a Kerwin, so she's descendant from the Chateau Kerwin.
We didn't. Yeah,
Did you have wine on the table growing up?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
No, not at all. Not at all. Got to remember the Kerwins. The Kerwins that had Chateau Kerwin, I think they were weavers. They were Galway weavers. So it was kind of a fun thing for them. I'm sure there was probably some tax benefit in there as well. I'm sure even back then, the Kerwin family was not involved in Chateau Kerwin when I was growing up. I think they'd sold out long before. And it was only when I went to a closing down sale of a wine shop here in Melbourne, and there was cases of Chateau Kerwin. And I did that. Oh, we are related. Okay, fantastic. The Kerwins were notorious sheep stealers on our side of the family, and lost the castle outside Galway in a game of cards, apparently. These are the apocryphal stories. A name is great on a bottle, but when you dig behind the name on the bottle, you discover all these other bits of family history. Maybe you don't want to know that you're related to bloody Dick Kerwin.
Well, I was going to say, I can see a lot of that in you these days, but it's fair to say that maybe your wine appreciation hasn't come from your mum?
No, it hasn't come at all. I mean, my family weren't big drinkers at all.
Well, what made you fall in love with wine? Was there a specific bottle or a moment that you can remember where you just went, yep, this is for me?
I think there are. I think there are moments. That comes when you taste something truly special. And it was a bottle of Chateau Chem, and it was just. And I woke up the next morning, I could still taste it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's special.
Do you feel confident assessing wine in the same way you do food?
I think you have to first start by knowing what you don't like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a fan of massively over oak red wines, huge alcohol, super fruit bombs.
Yeah.
But I love a bit of oxidization. Mm-hmm. So that's my weakness. So I know and I know maybe I'm a victim of being here in Victoria, but I love a bit of cool climate. Pinots, and now some of the cool climate Italian varietals are coming out. You're just like, that is special. Or I know that I'm drinking stuff out of Bannockburn. I kind of know I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
Bannockburn, Bellarine. I know I'm going to be happy with pretty much anything I drink out of there. Pretty much any Chardonnay.
Yes.
Because I'm happy to go.
Yeah.
Matchsticky, toasty, or big mallow.
Butter bomb.
Yeah, which is butter bomb. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean, good butter bomb, not just.
Oh yeah.
But I'm so in terms of. I've got a local wine bar that I go to regularly, and I now know. And I'll just walk in, and the wine will appear, and it'll always be something. It'll always be a Chardonnay, and it'll always be delicious. It might be a Saboteur, but it'll just go, oh, what's that?
Yeah,
And the ones you just go, oh.
Well, hello.
Thank you. And that's the joy. I mean, that's the joy. I think there's a real need to rely on the sommelier and the expertise of the person in the wine shop. That's why you go, and that's why you listen to that advice, and that's why, I love that moment when people are wading through the 1,000-page. It's like, just tell them what you do. Be able to classify what you want, and then the great sommelier will produce something. You go, how did you know that I wanted that? Wouldn't it? That's all. It's also got a bit of geranium in there. I like that. That kind of. You want to. They will know how well everything on the list, or they should know how well everything on the list is drinking. I will move on to telling you a story about a meal I had recently where they did research on what I liked, and they matched wines that they knew I'd love across the menu, and that was. Is
that just for you, or do regular people get that sort of treatment?
It's such an egotistical thing to say, "Did you do this specially for me?" Because I go, "No, we do it for everybody." But it was one of those menus where everything they poured.
But how do they get their research? Just from
because there's a fair bit of AI will tell you.
Yeah.
What does Anna Webster drink? It will tell you. You do something like this, and the information is out there.
What's your relationship like with wine these days? Is wine always on your table at home? You've got adult kids. Are they interested?
I look okay. I had a great chat with a winemaker the other day, and we were talking about this, and we were talking about wine and food, and it's kind of the marketing department standing. It's great with, and the winemaker said to me, "If you've got to drink my wine with food, my wine isn't doing its job."
Well, that's okay. That's a question. This is what I think, and I'm curious to hear what you think. I think that I can't really imagine any meal, maybe dessert, but generally speaking, a meal that would not be made better with a really good wine. But I think if I'm drinking a wine and I really want to taste the wine, I don't really want anything else with it. What do you think?
I agree, absolutely. I think if it's a great wine, you want to sit by a fire or on a rug overlooking the ocean, or you want to enjoy the wine for what the wine is.
Yeah.
You don't want it muddled up with food. I think your clarification, your specification, very good wine is absolutely right. Very good wine will enhance a dish, but also the wrong wine will destroy a dish.
Yeah, and
I think there's more bad matches out there than good.
Yeah,
and I did a tasting. Bob did a tasting. A winemaker sent 4 of their wines to 20 of the best restaurants in Australia and said, create a dish to match this.
Yeah,
and then did a tasting of the wine with the dish. And so this is where you got every chance to make a match that works. And of say 20 dishes, 1 was a stunning match, 2 were a good match, one was an okay match, and the rest were like, nah. That's terrible odds, and you've got every chance to do it.
Yeah.
So I worry that sometimes this whole idea you've got to have wine with food is, it takes away from the fact, buy a wine that's amazing to drink and enjoy that wine. If you have the moment, what I do now often with restaurants is when I sit down in a restaurant, I'll say, because obviously the stuff on the pairing list they pour by the glass. Yeah. I'll say, bring me your 2 favorite matches. Yeah. I just want 2 glasses of wine, but I'd rather have, that unbelievable Chablis that you've got with the shellfish and that spectacular Cabernet Bordeaux that's going to go with the lamb. I'd rather have those 2 moments that are bona fide, taste the wine, taste the food. The wine tastes
disgustingly
better.
good.
Yeah, no, there's no disgusting about it. It's that kind of whirlwind of every time you taste the food, the wine makes it taste better. Then the food makes the wine taste better. Yeah,
and they both back and forward.
They spiral up into this beautiful happiness place. So I'd rather have that, but I think they're rare. And I think in terms of great wine matches, I've probably had 20, 30 stellar matches like that. So most of the time, I'd rather save the money, go down and drink a bottle of wine at a table with friends, and then have dinner afterwards, and spend my money front up and have a ripping bottle of Chardonnay, and then it'll linger on. It's fine, but I want to enjoy that front end of it.
So if you are going to pair food and wine, do you have like any kind of rules that you'd stick to, or what's the most important thing, do you think?
It's much easier to pair simplicity. Yeah. Right? So, I don't know. I had a Tempranillo the other day that was unbelievable with this mortadella. It was a really great match. It was like, well, who would have thought grilled mortadella and Tempranillo would be there? In a way, maybe we should think about it. It's not that far from Italy to Spain. And that was a surprise. But, the standard things of matching on weight. I think most of the cliches are white. I don't mind. I don't mind going with a fish with a rich sauce and maybe having a Pinot Noir or whatever. I think, but again, I'm trusting. I don't know. When you're ordering the wine, you are ordering in the dark. You don't know how that wine is drinking right now, and you don't know what the dish is, and you don't know the recipe, and you haven't tasted the dish. So at the end of the day, you're far better off talking to the sommelier and saying, what do you reckon? Or buy stuff that you love. That wine's going to be delicious. It's going to be fantastic, and it's going to make that wine is going to make the most important thing, which is the weight between the dishes, really good because you can enjoy the wine. So we don't really talk. We talk about those pinnacle moments when the food comes, but actually, I think the wine's real job is that can actually filling in that gap in between. Yeah, when there's nothing else going on, and you're just sitting there going, look at that. And I love a wine that. I mean, those great wines that open up and that change in the glass, that's another thing you get to see in that situation. So I tend to match by either by complicity or by contrast. Yeah. I will. I'll go. I love Chardonnay, so Chardonnay will end up with the chicken, roast chicken. Thank you very much indeed. lemon tart with a Mount Horace Corden cut. There are things you also know from the past that you remember.
Yeah.
And you go, no, that's going to go very nicely.
Have you noticed in all your years of dining out an improvement in wine programs in restaurants?
I've noticed two things. I've noticed there are some restaurants that will mug you.
Yeah.
And I think
in terms of wine prices.
Oh, in terms of wine prices. My first 3-star experience was at Tante Pierre Kaufman's restaurant. I went in, it was lunch. It was the lunch special. I'd scraped up my money. We'd walked down from our basement flat and we're there and it's full of big hair and bow ties. And we obviously, they've got you put on the jacket doesn't fix, company op shop. You do the whole thing, right? And we sat there and you obviously had a place. And I picked a wine and he went, this one, £20 less expensive, way better wine. That's what a sommelier does.
Yeah.
What a sommelier does is, and then it comes and it delivers. And he wasn't being patronizing. He was just getting, honestly, this is what I would drink.
Yeah.
So I think, from that moment, I've had that trust in sommeliers. What I don't like is that, you've ordered this $15 glass of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. How about I move you up to a $40 glass? And you go, no. At what point, there's this question, and I think it's that we don't really talk about, what point should the sommelier declare that the wine you've bought is expensive? Like when he's moving you up. And it may well be that you spend an extra $30 and you go from having something good to having something great. That's fantastic. But at what point do you, when the bill comes, you go, that was a bit cheeky? Yeah.
Well, I think if it's a restaurant where there's no prices listed and they just bring you out a glass of bubbles to start.
Oh, well,
you find out it was $50.
Yeah, that's glass of, and they make it feel like it's they make it feel like it's a gift from them. That's cheeky. So again, it's about enjoying a restaurant is so much about clarity and about being honest and about letting people make the decision. But I remember, going. I think I ordered a wine that was $150 on a list than the one that they bought, and it was lovely, but it was $600. It was like, come on, that's taking the piss.
Yeah.
Really? You don't do that. Like I think if I ordered 150, they take me up to 190. I'm kind of happy with that.
Yeah.
The moment you kick over into another,
a
change in that first digit, you kind of need to be.
Yeah, well, at least some warning.
Yeah. Well, that you don't need to say is, look, it's $100 more, but oh my goodness, it's just one.
Yeah.
This wine was made by the winemaker of the year. If they got that kind of knowledge, is fantastic. That's great. But as just a straight,
it's 3 times as much, and it's not 3 times as
and we know that with wine, there's by and large, with a few exceptions, there's a law of diminishing returns. The wine gets better, so it might get 20% better, but you're paying 40% more.
Yeah.
So and as it is with cars, as it is with audio equipment, as it is with everything, that as you get up, the small increments in quality are matched by larger increments in price.
Yeah, and there's some amazing wines that cost a lot of money, but there's equally amazing wines at $40, $50 a bottle.
But you see, I'd argue that that's expensive. $50. What's a bottle of Tanqueray? What's a bottle of gin? You can have a gin. You can drink gin tonic. You can have double the amount of drinks. This is the reason why spirits have done so really well, because I know winemakers have to make a profit, right? And it's expensive.
Well, it's also I think the cost into producing a wine is
absolutely. If I said to you, you can have a $10 glass of gin and tonic, or you can have a $35 glass of wine, there's a massive.
Why are you drinking $10 gin and tonics? They're bloody $20 at least these days.
No, but because they're making more profit on that. What are you getting?
Yeah.
You're getting more drinks out of about a 700 ml bottle of gin. You're getting out of a 700 ml bottle of wine. So that's what I mean. It's like, so I think that's the challenge now, because again, with people like Brendan Rezzepi moving to non-alcoholic matches, and people discovering that maybe wine is a French expression of cuisine, and actually it's good to express what should be the traditional drink of Australia. What do we start? Maybe in the late 1800s we were mass exporter of claret, but we started drinking rum here. So isn't rum really the Australian drink? And what about in France? Is it wine or is it pastis? And in Germany, is it wine or is it beer? Or In England, in Scotland, is it wine or is it Scotch? And this idea of, as we move to hyper-local restaurants, expressing stuff, you don't have wine, then you look at expressing juices, or you go the other way and you go, well, we don't have to match with wine. We can match with sake, or we can match with a kombucha, or we can match with a vermouth, or there's all this other world of spirits.
Yeah.
I mean, the wine industry people are obsessed by it. They love it. But the competition, which has always been there, has got a lot keener in terms of what people can drink when they're eating and with what they're eating.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my favourite matches are, Chivas Regal and Char Siu pork. And I'm not a fan of Chivas Regal, but the two just work. They work really well.
What's your most memorable food and wine dining experience, would you say? It can be anywhere in the world.
I'll give you a recent one. It's a restaurant in Madrid called Diverso, or Diverexo, number 4 in the world. And just had that reaffirmed in the world's 50 best. 3-star Michelin. It's a kind of punk. It's a crazy punk restaurant. The chairs are bright pink. All the waiters wear bondage tartan outfits. And there was an 88 Madeira served with a kind of a Shaolin bao, so like a soup dumpling, but a soup dumpling made with a really sticky broth made from a really old rooster from the north of Spain. And that combination of the salty, sticky umami hit of that rooster stock inside that dumpling and that Madeira that was that moment when fireworks go off and you do that. Whoa, that's you're right rocking back in the chair. So that, I think, in the old days, that combination of a really good Sauterne and a foie gras was classic.
Yeah.
Chicken liver parfait and Peter Althouse's Reserve Pinot Noir from Domaine A. Oh!
What would be your death row meal, do you think?
Should take a station because it lasts a long time.
How many courses?
There would be. Well, I don't think it has to stop. That Diverso meal, because I've known him, and I've known kind of people he works with for a long time, and I've never been. And he was like, it was like getting the Beatles double greatest hits album. He just,
right.
At 20, everything was unbelievably delicious, and clever and interesting and very funny, like laughing out loud funny at some of the stuff that he does. It's just, that great idea. Eating out should be about joy and celebration of the people you're with.
Let's move on to some quickfire questions. If you weren't a food critic, what would you be?
Painter decorator.
A painter decorator. Nice.
That's what I did before when I was unemployed between school and university. Painter decorator.
Just kept it going.
I can hang wallpaper. I do all right.
What's your go-to value wine? So let's say under $30.
I think it's just under $30, but if you can get it under $30, the Vara Chardonnay, I've just bought a case and a half of that. 2020, unbelievable wine. Yeah. Unbelievable wine.
What's the oldest wine you've tried?
1865 Chateau Yquem, corked.
Oh no!
Yeah, terrible, and
devastating.
And caught with a bad cork. So that awful moment. 49 Chateau Lafite. Yeah. That was pretty special. And that was one of those that was just with straight grilled lamb chops. And so it brought the fruit, and it still had the fruit in the acid line, and the wine was delicious, and then the lamb was delicious, then the wine made the lamb more delicious, and that was that cascading upwards.
Yeah,
that was really special.
Do you have a bucket list wine?
Well, I'm very lucky. I can basically go to France, and when they say I'd like to open a bottle from your birth year, my birth year is 1961, so
good year.
It's not a bad year. but which is that great Leonard? Was it Ben Evans' line? What's your birth year? 49 or 61? which I love that idea. Do I have a bucket list wine? No, because I think that's what's so fun. I've obviously there's all that kind of DRC territory, but it tends to be I'm not going to pay that money for that wine. Because again, I love it. But I think there's other wine that we can drink.
Yeah, you can spend 40 grand.
30, yeah, that's right, 34. I think you could quite happily drink your way through, and not even it can, but maybe like a Defarge, the second label.
Yeah.
I think in terms of if I was going out and if someone gave me money to must spend on wine, that's probably what I'd do. I did buy once a case of 90 and 91 Defarge, and that was just like a a joy to go. When we were renovating, we knocked over the back of the house and we were renovating our house, there was a big void, not big void, but it was like 5 foot deep void in the back room. And the guy who was a builder from Banana, they all came down. They start on Monday, they go back on Friday. And he went, oh, look, Bricky's here. We'll just brick it up and we can put a little mini teeny cellar. And so I've got this cellar that's about the size of this table. It has the best steps going down into it. And you can basically do probably 3, 4, 5, probably do 8 cases because the role of the cellar, as you know, not about storing wine. It's about making it hard to get to. So you don't just go. So you don't just, otherwise you. So that went down there, and every time I pull that over,
you can't access it after you've had a few.
Well, that's right, and also your kids forget about it, which is the other advantage. And then most of the time it's fantastic. But I don't have I'm not a guy who's going to set an alarm and go, I need to drink that. And I pulled out a bottle of, I had an Aubryon and it was gone, and that was kind of sad. And I used to love the wine that Bill Chambers made. I mean, his Tocco was one of the most amazing things I've ever tasted, and it was well prized. And I bought a couple of cases of that, and I think I got the last one out about 3 months ago, and it was still delicious, but it was kind of, like any old thing. It was just starting to be
starting to go
a little bit wobbly, you know, but it was still great. And it wasn't because again, sweet wine, that acid level is so important to balance that. So, but it was still, but also it was weird because I had an emotional connection with the wine I was happy to drink it, and the label was a bit faded. Yeah. And I loved all that.
I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Wine guilty pleasure?
I've just bought 2 cases because I went over to Adelaide to do the Winter Reds Festival over there, and I tried 2 wines there that I loved. I bought 2 cases. So my real guilty pleasure was spending. They weren't expensive, like $400 a case, which I thought was, for the quality of wines was phenomenal, and I did have to do that. I've just spent almost $1,000 on wine.
That's not a guilty pleasure.
No, I think isn't that guilty? I feel it's guilty. $1,000 on wine.
What I was
telling your partner. And going, I've just spent
$1,000.
I've just spent $1,000 on. It wasn't $1,000, but you know what I mean. In terms of your partner hears it as well, it was one was $450 and one was, and they cut it. And then there's shipping and.
Well, what I thought you were going to say is mixing red wine with Coke and making.
Oh, you mean as in things that. Oh yeah, no, that
like adding ice to wine or.
Oh yeah, I mean Ben Kennedy got in terrible trouble. Ben Kennedy got. When I was working for Melbourne Food and Wine Festival, we did a Middle Eastern dinner, and we took a young Rutherglen Muscat, which has all those rose petal flavors, and we served it on ice with a sprig of, lots of crushed ice with a sprig of mint. It was delicious. The winemaker wanted to skin us alive because that's not how my Muscat is to be drunk. But no, it's delicious. It's like sherry on ice. I love a big cheap sherry on ice. Yeah. Vermouth is my current new guilty pleasure. You're absolutely right. I love a Kalimokto.
Yeah, I remember when we went to Arlequin with Emma Dean and we just bought a bottle of red wine and asked for a bottle of Coke and made our own table. That was because that was sometimes when the sommelier is really upsetting you and is really snooty and is a real dick about the wine, I think you'll find, Madam, that's Viognier. They're correcting pronunciation. They're just being a dick. You then order a glass of expensive wine. You order a Coca-Cola and you pour it in, and they're so scandalised by it. But if you've got a cheap, $5-6 bottle of red, and you mix Coke in there, the black-headed vulture, the classic drink of Bilbao, which also pops up in Chile, the Kalimokto it actually makes it actually. It was delicious.
It's delicious. It is delicious.
Absolutely delicious.
But you're
not going to mix DRC and Coke, but
and I'd feel that talking about that when James Halliday could be popping in at any moment, I'm worried he'll give me that disapproving James Halliday look, which no one wants to see.
That's all right. He's pretty open-minded.
Really? Have you poured him a Kalimokto? You poured him a Kalimokto?
I haven't.
And let me know what he says.
Okay, I will.
I mean, the thing is, he'll know what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
And he'll say, no, it should be a cheap Rioja.
Yeah. Where are you drinking at the moment? What's your favourite bar?
Noble Rot down in Point Lonsdale.
Yeah.
Love it. Run by Guy Spit Randall's. Always interesting stuff. And always, pulled out a bottle of Nebbiolo from Dixon's Creek. Lambert.
Yeah, Lambert Neb.
Delicious. 23.
It's just released this new ones.
It's delicious. It was just delicious. So that I love that. That's that thing when people know what you like, and then they go, well, look, you normally drink the Chardonnay. I thought, well, okay, I've got something.
Yeah, nice.
So I think that that would probably be the place I enjoy most, because I'm mean and I love going to places where they just put, whatever it is, $10 on the bottle, and they've got an amazing selection, and it encourages you. There's a whole debate about wine lists and whether you charge on a dollar price or a percentage price.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of a dollar price, because I think you want to persuade people that for the same markup they can drink a better wine. Like they're not paying the restaurant anymore, but they're just paying a little bit more for the wine.
Yeah.
And if you go from a $30 a bottle shop price 30 to a 70, you go from beverage occasionally up to art, and that's and I think it's worth the extra 35.
Yeah.
If it's a percentage price increase and you're going up from 70 to 210, then it's a different proposition.
Totally.
And I think probably for most people it's not worth it.
What about where you're eating at the moment? Where's your favorite restaurant? Or...
I've been away 4 months of the year so far. So
doesn't have to be new, just has to be somewhere you like going.
I like Dad's for Vietnamese in Pran. I can't mention the other one because I'm banned from mentioning the other Vietnamese I love. I went to Barolo. I love that. I think that where do I normally end up going? To Embla a lot. Marion, my daughter loves Marion, so that's a regular. There's a pizza place down in Queenscliff called Nastravi that does an amazing job. That's great. It's kind of like, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Lisbon? Or it sounds like such a. But one of the things now that I do, and this is a post-COVID, post-MasterChef thing, is I now have gone back to writing about food and wine travel, and so I end up traveling a lot more for food and wine. So I had a Dana kebab, like a mince kebab, in just north of Taksim Square, in this little pumping old, like 50-year-old Turkish place that was just like, oh my God, that was truly marvelous. And because again, that thing, I'm a believer that great gastro experiences shouldn't necessarily be the most expensive. With food, often the cheaper is best. Yep. With wine, seldom is the cheaper better.
Mm-hmm. What are you drinking other than wine?
Vermouth.
Australian,
I'll rephrase that. Vermouth.
From
largely
Spain.
Spanish. Don't want too much of that kind of herby bitterness. Love it. I did buy a bottle of Fino, a litre of Fino for I think €14 from a delicious Fino, and that became a kind of a with seafood on ice. Oh my gosh, heaven! I know. I wouldn't want to admit people. That's probably a guilty pleasure. But yeah, so that I love a gin soda.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of. I went to Vietnam and had these fantastic cherry sours. I hate bourbon. Bourbon's one of the devil's drinks in my. And I went to Kentucky and I discovered good bourbon. Oh, okay. There's beverage and art again there. But kind of Luxardo, cherry liqueur, fresh cherry juice, bourbon, ice, lemon, amazing. I mean, I've become a bit of a. I've discovered that I have. We all have a secret skill.
Yeah.
I don't know what yours is. Well, I probably do, but I've never said it properly. So my secret skill is I'm a master at hiding alcohol in drinks.
Oh yes, okay.
I'm a master.
That's what I'm good at. Always picking the right size Tupperware for leftovers.
Genius. You see, there you are. We all have a secret skill.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's big enough. And it's always bang on.
And when you do it, do you have the little...
Always.
Yeah. So...
Done it again.
I was up at the Taste of Port Douglas and did welcome drinks at a couple of things. So drinks are so much easier to do than cooking. And I grew up drinking Stone's ginger wine. I love Stone's ginger wine. And
what is it?
Imagine a wine that tastes like ginger marmalade.
So it's like a ginger beer kind of wine combination?
No, kind of And
So it's sweeter.
more like sweeter ginger ale with way more ginger
Like
here.
ginger cordial
And
in
it's
wine or something.
more like a ginger cordial,
Yeah.
but it's cheap, a bottle, right? Cheap.
That sounds cheap.
But you use it as like a sugar syrup with we use it with rum, ginger ale, fresh lime juice, fresh ginger juice, Stone's ginger wine, and you get this amazing. And then if you're going to be a total tosser, I discovered some Serbian pine syrup.
God, yeah,
and I put a little Serbian pine syrup because people like you like that sort of stuff. You go, oh, and you go, there's a bit of Serbian. You go, oh, Serbian pine syrup. Yeah, Serbian pine syrup. Where do you get the words? From Serbia.
You've lost me at Serbian pine syrup.
But it's a delicious, because the whole point about cocktails is that they're not hard. That, food can be quite tricky, and there's technique and there's timing and there's all those things. Drink is measurement. It's very simple. Boom, 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 put it together, mix it, stir it.
Yep.
And it's that thing. I was doing a story in San Francisco and ended up in the Hells Angels, the dive bar in San Francisco. It's only brown spirits, and it was only beer. That's all they had. And I really, that you get that Negroni moment. You really want a Negroni, and it was like, I said, can you make me a Negroni? And they said, no way, don't do that. I said, have you got cheap vermouth and Campari and gin? And they went, yes. I said, just a shot of each, and then give it a stir. And I said, and I bought one for him as well. And it's huge, like him. Yeah.
Baby's first Negroni.
Yeah, that's baby's first Negroni. And it was like, that is really delicious. Really good with a beer. So, I mean, so I enjoy it.
So, a Negroni is now on at Hells Angels, thanks to you.
Yeah, that's right. It's now the standard drink of the San Francisco chapter of Hells Angels. I need to go back and remind them that the best Negroni is, my obsession with. So, one of the things I'm proud of, I'm sure someone else had done it before me, but that like a teaspoon of olive brine in a Negroni and a green olive, so that the bitterness of the olive and the salty olive kits against the sweetness, and then the Negroni becomes sessionable. Yeah, that's the secret. Suddenly Negroni stops being super sweet and sticky, and starts being something a bit more. And it's an olive and a bit of brine. What's that? Hardly any money at all. Super cheap.
I've got 2 more questions. Can you give me one-word answers? Because these are meant to be quick fire. What's your favourite wine region in Australia?
It's this amazing region.
Oh God, what?
And it goes from Rutherglen all the way down into Gippsland, across into the Bellarine, and then all the way across to Adelaide Hills. And it's got a bit of Heathcote in there as well. Southeast Australia. Yeah, I think Southeast. Yeah, I agree. I think Southeast Australia is a pretty good wine region, including Tasmania. It's
a zone, but it's
Yeah, no, I love that. But then also, in Australia, yes. So that will be it. I can't pick. I can pick 5, and they'll all have similar climatic conditions, and they make similar delicious, elegant, smart, drinkable wines that stand on their own 2 feet and don't need food to prop them up.
Now, one word. Is there a wine region in the world that you haven't visited that you really want to?
Yes.
What is it?
That's I'm giving you my one word.
Oh God, you're a knob.
I'd love to do. I've never done the French wine regions. Any of them.
Any of them. Champagne, Burgundy, Rhone.
I think it's got to be Burgundy. I think Rhone would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm off to Rioja, and which I'm excited to do a bit of Tempranillo and roast and Cordero Lechao, what's it? Roast suckling lamb.
Yeah.
So I'm off there. I like to go to Priorat. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Anywhere in Tuscany. Hello.
I know.
I think that's the problem. When I travel, wine is tacked on. Although I was in Portugal and had the most amazing wine called a Dicinto from Tenerife that was, again, one of those. Whoa! And so I wouldn't mind going to Tenerife.
Okay.
So, but I mean, there's what have you got? You probably stop traveling when you're 86, 83, 86. Mother-in-law's 86. She's still traveling. Okay. I'll look. No, I think it's 85. 85. Apparently, I'm still going to stop traveling. It's God. God's having a word. I think of travel as being sort of history and food and drink.
Mm-hmm.
And that tends to be in a bar rather than actually going to a vineyard.
Yep.
I don't know how exciting steel tanks are.
Oh, but I don't know. What if you're in like Piedmont or something and you're pulling out old Barolo from an old barrel in an ancient cellar?
Yeah, but it's never going to be as good as being at Morris in Rutherglen with David Morris and his ladder and he's taking you around and he's pulling.
But still,
old
you're still
material
in a winery.
It's the same idea, but then he does that thing he puts a tiny drop of really old material into a really young wine. It just goes, and it goes from being.
And you're there with your rosemary sprigs.
That's right. No, again, I'm doing nothing. but like that. But those magical moments. The first time you blend a muscat and you see what old material does to new material that's what I remember. I remember him up a ladder and pulling stuff out, but I remember that moment when you put really old material in a really young wine and how a tiny, like a pinhead amount of this old material totally transformed the wine. That was magical. We all know, and we know from there's a wonderful guy called Dr. Charles Spence, who's head of neurology at Oxford, I think, and he has done this whole research about the importance of drinking wine in situ. Yeah. And so I do love that.
Yeah,
I do love that.
It's pretty special.
But I don't know. Do we need to travel? I remember the old days when you go up near Wangaratta, you go past Bailey's, and you drive past the fences that Ned Kelly had built when he was a boy, up to Cliffy Boo's winery, and Cliffy Boo'd be sitting not quite in a rocking chair, but in an old chair, and you drink some of his wines that were interesting. And one of his sons would come in with on his four-wheeler with a milk crate full of big peaches size of a toddler's head that were the juiciest thing you ever had. And that whole experience of terroir, that's amazing. Yeah. So I love that. So yes, I think
when we went to Chauncey and we were drinking Jasper Hill,
But we were in the rest. We weren't out.
No, but still drinking a Heathcote wine in Heathcote, I think was pretty special.
I think going to Bess has that. I think we do have those experiences here. I think often when the iconic places that you and I would like to go have wine experience centres now.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that's not the romance that I like. I like the romance of, mud on the boots and old barrels.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to wrap you up now.
Good, thank you.
Before we finish, is there anything you're working on at the moment that you'd like to plug?
I've got a couple of TV things that'll come out next year. They'll be fun. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. And I'm about to go to Recce to Spain and Italy for tours for next year with Luxury Escape. So, and there'll be a fair amount of wine in those. Because if you're going to go to Italy and you're going to be in Tuscany, you probably want to go to Antinori. Yeah. There are probably a few places you want to go. And one of the things that, one of the great things when you travel is to taste what is of the region, whether that's food, or if you're in Sri Lanka, you might be having a bit of tuna caught off the coast. You might then be going for arak in the local pub.
That's true. And where can we find you on socials?
All over the place.
At Matt's Cravat. All right. Thank you, Matt. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. I hope it wasn't too derailing.
It was extremely derailing, but that's fine.
Yeah, no,
it was fun.
You expected that. We know each other so long, that's going to happen.
I don't even know why I read any questions. Thanks for listening to the Halliday Wine Companion Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe so you never miss one. Love it? Leave a review and share it with friends. For more, visit winecompanion.com.au or follow us on Instagram @winecompanion.